Welcome to this edition of News Today, a series where we briefly discuss and analyze important news of the day. Without delay, let's explore the headlines first. Uniform Civil Code 2024 bill has been tabled in Uttarakhand Assembly. Cancer remission achieved after commercial use of NESCAR-19, India's first indigenous CAR T-cell therapy. Food Safety and Standards Authority of India or FSSAI has approved amendments to various food safety and standards regulations. Scientists declare Hindu Kush Himalaya a biosphere on brink of collapse. Massive fire broke out in a firecracker factory in Madhya Pradesh, Harda. Petronet LNG and Qatar Energy extend liquefied natural gas supply deal for another 20 years beyond 2028. Starting with the first news. Uniform Civil Code 2024 bill has been tabled in Uttarakhand Assembly. Once it becomes an act, Uttarakhand will become the first state in the country after independence to adopt Uniform Civil Code or UCC. After its liberation in 1961, Goa retained the Portuguese Civil Code, making it only state to have a UCC for all religions. Now let's start by first understanding about Uttarakhand's Uniform Civil Code bill. The constitutional mandate of Article 44 says that states shall endeavour to secure for citizens a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. The bill's objective is to propose a common law on marriage, divorce, land, property and inheritance for all citizens irrespective of their religion in Uttarakhand. If we talk about its key features, the provisions of the UCC bill do not apply to tribal communities. The bill aims to regulate live-in relationships and it prohibits bigamy or marriages with more than one person. Now let's understand and discuss the need for UCC. First reason is to ensure equality as presently different communities are governed by different personal laws. Also, it will promote gender justice by removing the inbuilt discriminatory provisions of personal laws. Moreover, in the purview of national integration, UCC will separate religion from social relations in personal laws, ensuring equality and harmony in the society. It was also held by the Supreme Court in Muhammad Ahmad Khan vs Shah Banu Begum 1985 case. At last, now let's discuss the challenges in adoption of the Uniform Civil Code. Plurality and diversity is one major concern as huge diversified customary practices make it difficult to evolve consensus on UCC. In 2018, Law Commission of India opined that UCC is neither necessary nor desirable at this stage in the country. Fear of loss of identity and marginalization is another concern associated with minorities. Additionally, existence of legal pluralism in civil laws and Indian secularism, which is based on diversity of religion and people, poses some more significant challenges. Moving on to the next news. Cancer remission achieved after commercial use of NESCAR-19, India's first indigenous CAR T-cell therapy. NESCAR-19 has been developed by ImmunoAct, a company incubated under IIT Bombay and Tata Memorial Hospital. NESCAR-19 was granted market authorization by the Central Drugs Standard Control Organization in 2023. CAR T-cell therapy is a new approach in immunotherapy where the patient's immune system is strengthened to attack cancer cells. It restores the ability of the T cells to recognize the cancer cells and kill them. T cells are white blood cells that recognize and fight infections and cancerous growths. In advanced stages, cancer cells can inactivate T cells or modify themselves so that T cells cannot detect them. Therapy involves genetic engineering of T cells by introducing chimeric antigen receptors to produce CAR T cells. CAR or CARs are proteins that assist T cells to recognize and attach to a specific protein or antigen present on cancer cells. Now let's also understand and discuss how CAR T works. It functions in 4 steps. In the first step, blood is drawn from the patient to extract a type of white blood cell, the body's natural disease destroyer called T cells. In second step, the T cells are then genetically engineered in a laboratory by introducing proteins called chimeric antigen receptors or CARs. Then in the third step, the engineered CAR T cells can now identify and home in on cancer cells. They latch on and are triggered to destroy the cancer cells. In the fourth and final step, the CAR T cells are multiplied in the lab and infused into the patient by the millions to attack cancer. At last, now let's discuss and understand the significance of CAR T cell therapy. This therapy is very effective against some types of cancer like leukemia and lymphoma. Also, it offers short treatment time and more rapid recovery as unlike chemotherapy. It is administered only once to a patient. Additionally, it is useful for cancers not responding to combinations of chemotherapy or other immunotherapy approaches. Moreover, CAR T cells are known as living drugs as T cells persist in the body for long term and can benefit for many years. Moving on to the next news. Food Safety and Standards Authority of India or FSSAI has approved amendments to various food safety and standards regulations. To facilitate ease of doing business through the concept of one nation, one commodity, one regulator, FSSAI approved some amendments. These include making only FSSAI certification mandatory for food products. Bureau of Indian Standards or egg mark certification will not be required for food products. Presently, Bureau of Indian Standards certification is mandatory for some food products like infant formula, packaged drinking water, and milk powder. An egg mark is mandatory for some products like blended edible vegetable oils and fat spreads. FSSAI also approved a first comprehensive manual of methods of analysis for ensuring regulatory compliance of food products. Other approvals include standards of alcoholic ready-to-drink beverages and revision of standards of milk fat products. Now let's discuss and understand food safety and standards regulations in India. First is the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006, which is an overarching regulation on food safety, establishing FSSAI as the primary food safety authority. Next is Food Safety and Standards Regulations 2011, which contains labeling requirements and standards for packaged food, permitted food additives, and microbiological requirements. Also, there are various FSSAI food safety standards which are developed by scientific committee and scientific panels, the principal arms of FSSAI in the standard development process. Now let's also have a look at the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. It was established under the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006. It functions under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. It plays a pivotal role in laying down science-based standards for articles of food and to regulate their manufacture, storage, distribution, sale, and import.
Moving on to the next news. Scientists declare Hindu-Kush Himalaya a biosphere on brink of collapse. The researchers at International Center for Integrated Mountain Development have described speed and scale of losses in nature and habitat in HKH region as catastrophic. Now, let us first discuss what is Hindu-Kush Himalayan region or HKH. The HKH region extends to about 3,500 km from Afghanistan in the west to Myanmar in the east. Home to the largest ice reserves outside polar regions, it feeds up to 10 major rivers including Ganga. It is also known as the Greater Himalayan region or the roof of the world. Now, let us get to know about the significance of the HKH. It regulates the global climate system. Also, it has cultural and spiritual importance, for example, presence of Gangotri Glacier. The region is also significant for its cryosphere components which include permafrost and glacial lakes. Lastly, it sustains livelihoods of billions of people. Now, let us get to know about the concerns faced by this region. As per Asian Development Bank, HKH region is warming faster than global average, and if global temperature rises hit 3 degrees Celsius, 75% of glaciers in Bhutan and Nepal could melt by the end of the century. Also, 70% of the original biodiversity has been lost over the last century. Several initiatives have also been taken to protect the HKH region. ICIMOD, which is an intergovernmental institution headquartered at Kathmandu working towards climate-resilient HKH. Regional member countries of ICIMOD are Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, China, India, Myanmar, Nepal, and Pakistan. Hindu-Kush Himalayan Monitoring and Assessment Program HIMAP, which is being coordinated by ICIMOD. Lastly, National Mission on Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem has been launched by India as part of National Action Plan on Climate Change. Moving on to the next news. Massive fire broke out in a firecracker factory in Madhya Pradesh's Harda. This incident raises concerns regarding implementation of industrial fire safety regulations by the industries in India. First, let us get to know about the industrial fire safety regulations in India. The National Building Code of India provides guidelines for fire safety measures in buildings, including industrial structures. It also outlines requirements for fire resistance components, fire detection and alarm systems, means of escape, and firefighting equipment. Model Bill to provide for the maintenance of fire and emergency service for the state 2019 provides a model framework for states for maintenance of fire and emergency service. The fire service is a state subject and has been included as a municipal function in the 12th schedule of the Indian Constitution. Also, there is the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020, which provides for liability of owners of factory premises for fire prevention and protection. Petroleum and Explosive Safety Organization (PESO) administer responsibilities under the Explosive Act 1984 and Petroleum Act 1934 for prevention of accidents. It further overlooks safety in manufacture, possession, use, sale, export, import, transport, and handling of explosive, petroleum, flammable, and non-flammable compressed gases and other hazardous substances. The Bureau of Indian Standards has set standards specific to fire safety equipment and systems used in industries. Now, let us understand the major causes for the industrial fire disasters. Structural irregularities such as dilapidated buildings, weak fire prevention and containment systems acts as one of the major reasons. Fault in electrical systems such as faulty wiring, overloaded circuits, failure in electrical equipment and short circuits adds to the concern. Further, there exist chemical storage and handling risks such as improper segregation, improper handling of explosive materials and lack of ventilation. Moreover, human error including negligent actions like overcharging electrical appliances, lack of material handling knowledge and use of flammable materials is equally responsible for such incidences. Moving on to the last news for the day. Petronet LNG and Qatar Energy extend liquefied natural gas supply deal for another 20 years beyond 2028. New agreement between India and Qatar inked during the ongoing India Energy Week 2024 in Goa, pursuant to extension of an existing long-term contract for LNG supply signed in 1999 for supplies till 2028. Under new agreement, LNG supply of 7.5 million metric tons per annum will be commencing from 2028 till 2048. Indian companies also have term contracts for LNG in Australia and UAE. Let's understand the significance of the agreement. It promotes gas-based economy by increasing the share of gas in energy mix from 6% to 15% by 2030. Also, it ensures continued supplies of regasified LNG to major consuming sectors like fertilizers, city gas distribution, refineries, and power generation. Lastly, it reduces import bills as natural gas is cheaper and cleaner fuel than crude oil, hence making it a more affordable alternative to imported crude oil. If we talk about LNG, then it is a clear, colorless, non-toxic liquid which forms when natural gas is cooled to a liquid state at about -260°F or -162°C for shipping and storage. Further, several initiatives have also been taken to promote natural gas. Opening LNG terminals at Dahej, Hazira and Mundra, Gujarat, Dabhol, Maharashtra, Kochi, Kerala and Ennore, Tamil Nadu. The One Nation, One Gas Grid project to increase availability of natural gas across country. Lastly, the Gas for India campaign. Finally, let us get to know about Petronet LNG Limited. It is one of the fastest growing world-class public limited company in Indian energy sector. Also, it is a joint venture of Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, Indian Oil Corporation Limited, GAIL Limited and Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited. The place in news for today is Suriname with its capital Paramaribo. It is a news as a parliamentary delegation from the Republic of Suriname has called on the President of India. Talking about its political features, it is located on the northern coast of South America. It shares boundaries with Atlantic Ocean to the north, French Guiana to the east, Brazil to the south and Guyana to the west. Talking about its geographical features, the tropical rainforest covers southern part of the country. Economically, it is dependent on extensive supply of natural resources, most notably bauxite. Its major rivers are Maroni, Corentine, Copenhagen and Suriname River. Its highest peak is Juliana Top.
As we conclude today's main news, let's take a look at some quick updates. The Prime Minister laid the foundation stone of multiple road upgradation as part of the South Asia Sub-Regional Economic Cooperation Corridor connectivity. South Asia Sub-Regional Economic Cooperation was established in 2001. Its members are Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, Maldives, Sri Lanka and Myanmar. Recently, provisions of Anusandhan National Research Foundation Act have been brought into force. This act repealed the Science and Engineering Research Board Act 2008. ANRF is operationalized by the Department of Science and Technology and its governing board is headed by the Prime Minister of India. Its functions is to provide strategic direction for research, innovation and entrepreneurship in various fields. The Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution launched Bharat Rice at a subsidized rate. In the first phase, it will be offered to consumers through 3 central cooperative agencies, which are Kendriya Bhandar, National Agricultural Cooperative Marketing Federation of India Limited and National Cooperative Consumers Federation of India. Earlier, the government has started retailing subsidized wheat, flour and chana dal under the Bharat brand. Rajya Sabha passes bill to modify SC/ST list in states. The bill adds 4 particularly tribal vulnerable groups to ST list of Orissa. The President may, with respect to any state or union territory, after the consultation with the governor, can notify castes, races or tribes which will be deemed to be SC or ST. Cameroon, a Central African country, has adopted the Nagoya Protocol on access to genetic resources and the fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising from their utilization. Nagoya Protocol, adopted in 2010 in Nagoya, Japan, is a supplementary agreement to the Convention on Biological Diversity. India is also a party to Nagoya Protocol. It aims at sharing the benefits arising from utilization of genetic resources in a fair and equitable way. India's Davis Cup team defeated Pakistan to secure its place in the World Group 1. This was the first time in 60 years when an Indian tennis team travelled to Pakistan to play a Davis Cup tie. Davis Cup is an annual international team event for men's tennis. Davis Cup is run by the International Tennis Federation and is competed by teams from 155 nations in 2023 in a knockout format. Environmental activists protested against potential adverse impacts of a proposed 6-lane elevated highway in Banerghatta National Park. Banerghatta National Park is located near Bangalore, Karnataka. Banerghatta Biological Park, an integral part of Banerghatta National Park, also hosts India's first butterfly park. Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India has convened the 24th PM STIKE meeting. Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Advisory Council, constituted in 2018, advises the Prime Minister on all matters related to science, technology and innovation. Council works under the Office of Principal Scientific Advisor, and Principal Scientific Advisor acts as its chairperson. Before we go, it's time to put your knowledge to test in today's segment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you have enjoyed this edition of News Today. To get the answers to today's quiz and to download the PDF of News Today, make sure to check out the links in the description below.